You have no concept of the magnitude of what is headed your way. I saw it. I saw every single night you spent waiting with no one to show that weight to. I saw every morning you pulled yourself out of bed, even though there wasn't a shred of evidence that today would be any different. And what is on its way isn't what you imagined. It's bigger. It's heavier. It's wider than the small box you've been shrinking your dreams into, just so disappointment wouldn't hurt so bad if the promise took too long. But the promise never shrank. Only the box did. And it is time to break that box apart. Stay until the end of this video. Before we're done, you're going to receive the name of exactly what is sensing your victory approaching and the protocol to make sure the enemy doesn't rob you of what has already been decreed in your favor. I put you here because this word is for you. Let me find you exactly where you are right now. You've stood in front of the bathroom mirror early, haven't you? Before the rest of the house wakes up. Before the morning noise starts. Before the phone notifications kick in. Before you have to put on a brave face for someone else or answer a single email. You stood there in the silence, looking at your own reflection, trying to find a sign, trying to read your own eyes to see if it was finally coming, if there was still time, if what was promised was still on the table, or if the deadline had passed without you even noticing. You examined your own face as if it could give you an answer. And your face didn't tell you what you needed to hear, but you got up anyway. You washed your face, got dressed, and walked out, without the answer you wanted. But you kept moving. You've watched people get ahead. People who started way after you, who prayed less than you, who doubted more than you, who didn't carry half of what you've carried, who didn't pay anything close to the price you've paid in silence, in loyalty, through those long nights of waiting. And you asked yourself quietly what you were doing wrong. Because you did everything right. You obeyed when it would have been easier to ignore. You waited when it would have been smarter to quit. You trusted when nothing in your environment gave you a reason to. And yet you stood still while others crossed the finish line first. You didn't ask for an explanation out loud, but the question stayed buried inside you. You have an inventory. It's not written on paper, but it's etched into you with ink that never dries. It's the midnight inventory, the one that opens on its own when the house gets quiet and you can't distract your mind with noise anymore. The list of what was promised that still hasn't shown up.
You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.
Distract your mind with noise anymore. The list of what was promised that still hasn't shown up. The name of every single thing you believed in with everything you had, everything you declared, everything you defended in front of the skeptics, things that are still waiting for a visible shape, a concrete address, a delivery date. You open that inventory every night, and every night it comes back without a delivered stamp. And you sent those texts saying you were doing good. You sent them with a hand that was shaking on the inside, even when it looked steady on the outside. With a heart that was doubting even when your voice sounded sure. You kept the faith in public. You carried the hope in your words even when doubt felt like a stone in your gut. Not because you were being fake, but because of a choice. Because of a decision you made somewhere along this journey, that you weren't going to let what you felt on the inside destroy what could still be built on the outside. That decision cost you more than anyone around you could ever imagine. That isn't weakness. That is one of the hardest, most valuable forms of loyalty there is. Hitting the like button on this video right now is your public amen. Heaven records what you confess in the open. I know what every one of those nights cost you. I saw what you carried, and it is exactly the weight of what you carried that calibrated the size of what's coming. There is no delay in the decree. There is a preparation of magnitude. Before I show you what is happening around you right now, I need to make you 3 promises, 3 things you will receive before you leave here. The first is this: what looks like a delay is not a delay. It is the weight of the victory being calibrated. Heaven doesn't delay small things. Heaven prepares the arrival of big things so that the entrance matches the scale of what's arriving. When something massive is coming, the entry points have to be prepared. Your internal ground has to have enough capacity to receive it without wasting it. What you're going through isn't a forgotten promise. It's a calibration of arrival. What's being prepared for you needs an entrance that matches its size. The second promise: before this video ends, you will receive a protocol, not a theory, not a fleeting feeling. A 3-step protocol to anchor what has been decreed before the enemy tries to intercept what is already yours. The third promise: when you leave here, you'll be able to declare, not as a request, but as a grounded statement, as a finished fact out loud, I have seen the scale, and I choose to receive it. I put you here because this word is for you. Every night you kept the faith without seeing a thing was what calibrated the size of what's coming. It wasn't wasted, it was measured. Now, close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. What I'm about to show you won't work if your attention is divided. There are signs happening all around you that you are misreading, not because of a lack of faith, but because of a lack of instruction. You're seeing the signs and calling them by the wrong names. And the enemy benefits a lot from the wrong name. Because when you call a sign the wrong thing, you don't act on it, you don't anchor yourself to it, and you let it pass like it's nothing. But right now, you're getting the instructions to call every sign by its right name. The first sign is this: your dreams have changed their tone. I'm not talking about dramatic prophetic visions. I'm talking about something more subtle. You used to sleep, and your dreams were heavy, scrambled, with that feeling of conflict that drags into the morning. And at some point, without you explicitly asking for it, the tone shifted. Scenes started appearing with more clarity, a sense of space, a lightness you didn't even know was missing until it showed up. You'd wake up not remembering the details, but the feeling stayed. And the feeling was different. You called it nothing, a coincidence, just a good night's sleep. What it really is, your spirit processing the shift before your conscious mind has access to what's being moved. The spirit senses it first. It receives it first. It prepares the inner ground before anything is visible on the outside. When the weight of your dreams changes without any apparent reason, it's because what's coming is already active at a level your waking mind can't reach yet. Your spirit already knows. Dreams are the meeting point between the two. The second sign: what used to fit doesn't fit anymore. Environments that used to be enough now feel cramped. Conversations that used to feed you now leave you feeling empty as soon as they're over. Routines that worked fine now have a different weight to them. You try to squeeze into what always worked and it doesn't fit. Not because it's broken, but because you outgrew the space. You called it ingratitude. You called it spiritual restlessness. You tried to discipline that discomfort back down because it felt like dissatisfaction. What it really is, a forced alignment for the next level. When what used to fit doesn't fit anymore, it's not a crisis. It's heaven recalibrating your container for the size of what's coming. You can't receive a massive victory inside a capacity built for something small. That discomfort isn't a sign that something broke. It's a sign that something grew. The third sign: doors you didn't even push are opening. Not big announcements with trumpets, small things. A conversation that happened without an agenda and opened something you couldn't open through your own effort. A door you'd been knocking on for months with no response, and it opened when you weren't even looking at it anymore. A connection that finally made sense 2 years later. Something that seemed to be going nowhere and revealed itself as a thread in the fabric of what's arriving. You called it coincidence, good luck, a fluke that doesn't deserve your attention. What it really is, favor moving before the announcement. Heaven doesn't announce every preparation before it makes it. It moves in silence, and the announcement comes later, when you can look back and see the line connecting everything that seemed disconnected. Silent favor is the most real, because it doesn't depend on your perception to be valid. The fourth sign: you have a strange stillness that makes no sense given your current situation. It's not resignation, it's not indifference, it's not the kind of peace that comes when you've just run out of emotions. It's cleaner than that. It's a peace that has no rational justification in what you are seeing. Everything is still on hold. The visible facts haven't confirmed a thing, And yet there's a stillness that shouldn't be there, one you didn't build, one that didn't come from any decision of yours. It is just present. You called it numbness. You called it being tired of feeling, a sign that your faith was getting cold. You even worried about the stillness. What it really is, the certainty of someone who already knows what's coming without having seen it yet. It's the spirit at rest, not because it stopped believing, but because it received confirmation at a level the conscious mind can't reach yet. Peace that has no rational source isn't an empty space, it's a supernatural source. When peace makes no sense in the visible world, it's because the explanation is in what is not yet visible, but is already real. The next sign is the one that costs the most to hear. It's the one the enemy has spent the most time trying to make you ignore, minimize, and dismiss as a coincidence or oversensitivity. The fifth sign, the reaction of the wrong people. You noticed something. Someone who never had to worry about you started distancing themselves for no clear reason. Someone close showed a level of irritation that was completely out of proportion. A coldness appeared without an open conflict, without a hard conversation. It just moved in and stayed. You called it a relationship wearing out, natural dynamics. You called it being too sensitive. You even blamed yourself for noticing it. What it really is, the enemy using people around you to try and discredit what has already been decreed over you. When victory gets close, those who are aligned with whatever was trying to block you start reacting before you even do. Their reaction isn't about who you are today, it's about what is written about you, and the attempt to discredit you is the clearest confirmation that what is written is real and it is imminent. Joseph's brothers didn't try to stop someone without a destiny. They tried to stop him exactly because they sensed the weight of the decree before any manifestation happened. Their reaction came first, and it was proof, not a denial. The reaction of those who resist you is proof, not a threat. Don't be fooled by it. Write free in the comments if this word just hit home for you. Let me stop for a moment and tell you the story of someone who lived this exact pattern with a precision that leaves no room for doubt. Joseph had a specific dream, with concrete images, with a direction that pointed toward a destiny bigger than anything his context justified. And the first thing that happened after the dream wasn't the fulfillment. It was the reaction. His brothers didn't throw Joseph into a pit because of some petty argument. They reacted because they sensed something about him they couldn't fully name, but recognized as a threat. The presence of the decree over Joseph produced a response in them that was bigger than the visible context. Before the position, before Egypt, before any visible manifestation, the reaction came first, because the enemy senses the decree before the one it's for does. And the attempt to block the decree was exactly what put Joseph on the path to fulfilling it. Every step his brothers took was, without them knowing it, a step in the direction of what they were trying to stop. Heaven used the resistance as a track. What was sent to destroy became the instrument of construction, not despite the resistance, through it. The reaction of what resists you is the confirmation of what is decreed, not the denial of it. And there is a metaphor the ocean teaches, something every experienced sailor knows, but most people who don't live on the coast never learn to read spiritually. Before the greatest advance of the tide, the water retreats from the shore. The water disappears. The stretch of sand that was covered suddenly appears dry under the sun. The beach looks exposed in a way that feels like abandonment, like the sea just decided to leave. If you don't know the pattern, you interpret that retreat as a permanent loss. But the seasoned sailor knows. The water is pulling back to gather enough strength to advance with a proportional volume. The bigger wave cannot come without a bigger retreat. The retreat is part of the mechanics of the arrival. You are in the retreat, not the abandonment. And the size of the retreat is proportional to the size of the wave that is forming. Both Joseph and the tide teach the same principle. The size of the resistance, the size of the retreat, the size of the weight without a rational explanation, all of it is proportional to the size of the victory that is approaching. You aren't being measured by what you've already received. You are being measured by what is coming. Write Joseph or tide in the comments. Tell me which one you identify with at this moment in your journey. Let me stop for one full minute and name what has been real in this journey, before I reveal who you are in the middle of all of it. You waited without quitting when there was no visible evidence. That is an objective fact. You kept going when logic told you to stop, when the odds didn't support you continuing, when the most sensible thing would have been to lower your expectations. You didn't lower them. You kept going. You kept the faith even when the reaction of the people around you suggested the opposite. You changed how you expressed it. You stayed quiet when you used to speak. You adjusted your vocabulary. But you didn't change the faith. The faith stayed. The signs were already active before you could name them. The unexplained stillness was present while you were still worrying about losing your passion. The doors were opening while you were looking at the ones that seemed closed. Everything was in motion. You just didn't have the vocabulary to name it. I saw what you did in the moments when you could have spoken up but didn't, when you could have complained with every right in the world and didn't. That silence wasn't passivity. That silence was spiritual language. It was recorded. It was weighed. It entered the decree in your favor. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. What you're about to hear isn't a human title. It's not an achievement. It's not a recognition of your effort. It is what I call you when I speak to heaven about you. You are a bearer of a heavy victory. I saw every night you held on to faith without an audience, without confirmation, without immediate relief, without anyone by your side to tell you it still made sense to wait. You held on without a human witness because there was something deeper in you than doubt. I saw every one of those nights, not from a distance, up close, with full attention, every single time, without exception. What this identity authorizes, you can stop minimizing the scale of what was promised. Your victory has weight, it has size. You shrank it down so it would fit inside what you thought you deserved, so the disappointment would be smaller if it didn't show up. But what was promised isn't what fits inside your fear. What was promised is what was decreed. The decree was never reduced. You aren't exaggerating what God promised you. You're just starting to see the real size of it. You are measured by your future fruit. I saw the reaction of those who tried to stop you, the distancing that happened without conflict, the irritation without a clear cause, the coldness that moved in without a fight. And I tell you with an authority that has no conditions, that reaction wasn't about who you are today. It was about who you are going to be. What they sensed, before any visible manifestation, was the weight of the decree. And the attempt to block you was the confirmation that what was decreed is real, and it is close. The enemy doesn't waste effort on what doesn't matter. What this identity authorizes, you can stop asking for permission to move forward. Those who resist you already recognize what you carry, even if they don't have the words for it. The resistance is already the validation. You don't need the approval of someone who was assigned to block what is over your life. You are chosen for a public turning point. I saw the private loyalty. Every moment you prayed when no one was watching, every declaration you made to yourself in silence, without recording it, without posting it, without telling anyone because there was nothing to tell yet. I saw it. And that loyalty, the kind that doesn't need a witness to be real, is the kind heaven prepares for a public manifestation. Not because you deserve exposure, but because what was sown in the dark with that kind of consistency grows until it can't be hidden anymore. What this identity authorizes, you can receive victory in public without guilt, without shrinking what arrives so it doesn't look like too much. What arrives was calibrated for you, not for the version of you that apologizes for receiving, but for the version that was prepared through every night of waiting and every morning of starting over to receive exactly what is arriving. Write the name of the identity you just received in the comments, and if you aren't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. What is shared here isn't for everyone. It's for those being prepared for what's next. In the next 72 hours, 3 things will be thrown at you. Not as a possibility, but as a certainty. The enemy doesn't wait to see what you do with what you've received. He acts immediately after you receive it, and you need to know the 3 forms he's going to use right now. The first is temporal comparison. It arrives disguised as humility. The voice will sound balanced, spiritually mature. It will whisper that others got ahead before you, that the timing has passed, that the people who should have arrived with you arrived a long time ago. Its weapon is the invented deadline. Someone else's victory doesn't cancel the decree over you. They are different decrees, with different timings, with sizes that have no valid point of comparison. The second is the minimization of the promise. It arrives disguised as gratitude. It will sound like the mature contentment of someone who learned to value what they have. It will whisper that what has arrived is enough, and that believing in the whole decree is a lack of humility. Its weapon is gratitude used as a ceiling. But gratitude is not a limit. Gratitude is the soil where something even greater can grow. The third is the voice of the wrong people. It arrives disguised as care, as genuine concern. It will plant the seed that maybe you are believing beyond what the situation justifies. The effect will always be the same, the shrinking of the size of what you are expecting. Its weapon is affection used as an instrument of reduction. Not every voice that loves you sees your real size. And the internal enemy. This is the most dangerous because it uses your own voice. It will show up as soon as you close this screen and say in your own tone, "Maybe I'm exaggerating what God promised me." It will try to make what was anchored here look like a temporary burst of excitement. It isn't. What was declared here is real. What was anchored here is anchored. The internal enemy has no authority to revoke what was decreed. He only has authority if you give him the command. Write "protected" in the comments right now. The decree is sealed. Now put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, not for 10 seconds. Stay there longer. Let your attention settle once and for all. Let's let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. You are going to let go of the small measure you applied to what was promised, the reduced size you've been building up over the months of waiting as a protection mechanism against disappointment. The shrunken version of the decree you've been embracing, because if it didn't show up in full, at least it wouldn't hurt as much. You are going to let go of that mechanism, not because it was bad, but because it has already done what it needed to do, and now it's stopping you from receiving the full size of what was decreed. Letting go of that small measure isn't being naive. It is being obedient to the real decree. You're going to let go of the voice of whoever tried to make you stop believing in the scale of what is arriving. Not in bitterness, not in anger, not in judging them for what they said, just pure release. The voice that said you were exaggerating, the voice that used gratitude as a ceiling, the voice that arrived disguised as care but left you smaller after it passed. You release that voice now. It has no authority over heaven's decree concerning you. It never did. And you are going to close that midnight inventory now, the list of what hasn't arrived yet. You close that inventory, not with resignation, not with disappointment, not like someone who gave up on waiting, but as someone who decided not to carry that list as a burden of demand anymore. What is in the decree is in the decree, with or without your list of demands. And in place of the midnight inventory, you open the inventory of what has already moved silently in your favor. The doors that opened without an agenda, the stillness that had no rational source, the dreams that changed their tone, the coincidences that started to favor you, the favor that moved before the announcement. This is the real inventory, and it has more weight than the list of what hasn't shown up yet. Now I am going to speak to you. I saw you in that mirror early, before everyone else woke up, before the day started, before any noise. When you stood there in silence, looking at your own face, trying to find some evidence in the reflection that it was coming, some sign that the promise was still active, some confirmation that you weren't waiting for something that was never going to appear. And when your face didn't give you the answer you needed, when the reflection just showed the face of someone who was still waiting, you didn't stay there. You kept going. You washed your face. You got dressed. You walked out. Without the answer, without the confirmation, but in motion. That act of continuing without the answer was recorded with a weight you don't have the language to measure. I measured it, and it entered the decree. I saw you sending that "I'm doing good" text with a hand that was shaking. It wasn't shaking from weakness, it was shaking from the effort of holding on. It was shaking from the tension between what you were feeling on the inside and what you chose to express on the outside. And I saw both at the same time. I saw what went into the message, and I saw what didn't. I saw what the message hid by choice, not for a lack of courage, but by a decision not to let what was hard destroy what could still be built. You weren't faking faith. You were exercising faith with a shaking hand. And I know the difference between the two. Faking faith is a performance for others to see. Exercising faith is choosing the direction of the promise even when your feelings are pointing the opposite way. You exercised it in every message that went out saying you were fine while your hand shook. And that exercise, every one of those moments, entered the decree. What was calibrated for you is not what you can imagine within the limits of what you thought you deserved. It is bigger, it is wider. It is more specific than any reduced version you built out of a fear of being disappointed. And the time of the retreat has come to an end. Not as an uncertain future promise, not as a conditional possibility, but as a present fact that is already in motion, that is already articulating itself in the dimensions you don't see fully yet, but are starting to feel in the signs we named here. Your victory is not just yours. It is heaven's living argument against everything that tried to block what was written about you. It moves all of heaven. It paralyzes what tried to stop you. It is a testimony for those who will come after you, for the person who is now in the position you were in, waiting without evidence, sending texts saying they're fine with a shaking hand, looking in the mirror early, searching for a sign. You are going to be the visible sign for that person. Your public victory will be the proof they need that the decree is real, and it is fulfilled. I cover you now with a full and specific covering, a covering over your mind, over the thoughts that will try to minimize what was declared here, over the internal voice that will try to use your own words to revoke what was anchored, a covering over your relationships, over the voices that will arrive disguised as care to plant seeds of smallness, over the coldness that tries to make you doubt what you carry, a covering over the timing, over the temptation to measure what is arriving by the clock of someone who is on a different decree than yours, a covering over the specific territory of what was promised to you, over the exact area where you are waiting, which is already in motion, already manifesting in the signs we named, and which will arrive with a magnitude that will need you to be whole, without reduction, without excuses, without minimization, to receive what has been prepared. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. Now say it out loud, not in your head, in an audible voice. Say, "My victory has scale, and I choose to receive it all." Say it again if you need to, with your hand on your heart, with your eyes closed if it helps anchor you, until the declaration doesn't create a rush of excitement, but settles into stillness. When you feel peace after saying it, not high-intensity emotion, but stillness, the anchor has been set. Stillness is the sign of confirmation. Before we close this video, the protocol of scale. 3 steps to anchor what has been decreed before the enemy tries to intercept you in the coming days. Step 1. Name what was promised out loud, not as a request, as a declaration of a finished receipt. A request comes from someone who doesn't have it yet. A declaration comes from someone who has already received it in a decree. Speak what was promised as a present fact. What was decreed over me is active right now. The voice that declares the promise as already decreed is the voice that anchors. Step 2. Identify the greatest resistance you are facing right now, and declare it as proof, not an obstacle. The resistance is calibrated by the size of what is arriving. The bigger the arrival, the bigger the thing sent to block it. Name that resistance out loud and say, "This proves the size of what is coming for me," and let that settle. Step 3. Close the inventory of what hasn't arrived yet, with intention. Not because you stopped believing, but because that list is taking up space that belongs to the inventory of what has already moved. Open the inventory of what has already moved silently. The doors that opened without an agenda, the stillness without a rational source, the dreams that changed their tone. This is the real inventory. Put the weight of your attention where it belongs. The sign of confirmation is stillness, not euphoria. Stillness. When the declaration settles into peace, the anchor is set. Write "received" in the comments if you are receiving this protocol right now. If what was said here reached you, write "done" in the comments. As a public confession of what was received, heaven records what you confess in the open. There is one person on your contact list who is waiting for the same victory and still doesn't know the scale of what is arriving for them. One specific person, not a group, not a list. One. You know their name as you read this. Send this video to that person now. No long comment, just send it. What was given to you today has the authority to reach them too. And the next video on this channel is going to talk about something that happens exactly after you start to receive the scale of what was decreed. Something specific the enemy uses at this point in the journey to make you pull back in the final mile before the finish line. Don't miss it. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person you were when this message started.
You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.